Right, WNOV family, this is Will Martin, and you're listening to The Difference. And let me make sure that I say right now, before we get going, Merry Christmas to everybody, because by the time we come back again, it will be over, right? It will be over. So, Jermaine, what you got going on?
Man, I'm gonna spend some time with my grandson, my daughter, and my son.
So,
And,
it's a normal day.
normal day. Normal day, yeah, yeah.
Got the family beside you, know?
Yeah, well, it's kind of special because my son graduated last weekend from college.
Oh, well, man, you okay? Say that. It's all
Yeah,
right.
so
Okay,
yeah,
congratulations.
man, proud dad.
Where can the gifts be sent to?
Send them to me.
Yeah.
Take all cash donations.
There we go.
'Cause I got to get paid back from all the money I spent. So,
all right, man.
no, but
Congratulations.
I'm extremely proud. And my daughter, she has 2 more semesters, and then she's finished.
Oh, wonderful.
Woo-hoo.
So yeah, man, I'm extremely excited.
Oh, man,
I'm
that's a blessing
excited.
because you've been through,
Yeah.
as we talked about,
Yeah.
your son had a major crash,
Yeah.
part of the reckless driving conversation. He wasn't. He was the
Yeah.
victim
He was
of.
a victim of.
And so he had some very significant health circumstances.
Yeah.
And then your daughter,
Yeah,
we
she
talked
was-
about that she was shot.
She was shot this year in March.
at
No.
work, right? I
At
mean, it's
work,
part
yeah.
of her work,
She was
and
at
she was
work.
shot.
Yeah.
No.
And so, between that violence and the other violence,
Yeah.
You got some
super
stuff to
proud.
celebrate.
Listen here, man. God has been good,
Amen.
and I celebrate
Oh,
that.
wow.
man.
And now you coming out of that to victory.
Yeah,
right?
to
So that's
victory. There you
beautiful.
go.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. So that's a great Christmas story.
Oh yeah,
Great
yeah.
Christmas
man.
story.
Listen, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, okay. Well, if we can reduce the violence.
Oh
we
yeah,
can-
reduce
we
the
can-
violence.
Thank you.
Outside of
I'm
the
just
violence.
saying, like, I would have it a slightly different way.
I mean, outside of the violence, I'm not
Thank
talking
you.
about that
That's
part.
like-
I'm talking about spending time with
Christmas with the family. Come on.
I'm just saying.
Will, only you.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. So, all right. With that, then I guess we should start this show.
Yeah, Merry
Um,
Christmas.
So, all right. Yeah. Who are you? We have a very special guest today, and this guy, I think you're getting frequent flyer or frequent interviewee points here. So, this is the third time you've been on the show.
Third or fourth, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
fourth. Third time in
Oh
studio.
yeah. So
Third time
okay,
in
all right.
studio.
We're gonna give you the credit for that one.
Okay.
So well, who we're talking about, and this is the deal. If you are listening to the show on the radio, you're only getting half the show. So if you are not watching it on YouTube or Facebook, you don't get to see the guy who has a face for radio. So our
And
guest
Josh
today,
Schoemann.
and Josh Schoemann.
Oh.
See, okay, everybody can't be running the show today, right? So, all right, Josh Schoemann is our guest today. Good friend. He has been in here. He has come and seen us, including before you announced. So we'll make sure to let people know that you are the county executive in Washington County, which is just a couple of counties up from Milwaukee.
One. Yeah, I'm your neighbor.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Mhm.
neighborish.
Neighborish.
Okay, and then you are also running for governor,
Yeah.
and so you've been running now. Man, what did you say?
7 months.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
7 months, halfway to the primary.
Okay, all right. So you're back here in the studio.
Yeah.
You've got some policies and some proposals that you wanted to talk about as well. But just wanted to welcome you back to the station. You've been in here a few times now.
Yeah, I have been. It's great to be back. Nice to be able to chat with you again. We've seen each other a fair amount on the road, but to be able to do it in studio and talk to our neighbors here in the Milwaukee area is fantastic.
Yeah, it should
love
be
it.
carpooling. I mean, we could actually save some money on all this trip, right? So, all right, you've been now to all 72 counties,
I have.
right?
Yep.
And you have talked about the fact that you're now making a second round around the state.
I am 72 counties in the first 4 months. We were done with that in September, and talking to people, tens of thousands of people all across the state, and people are hurting.
Mhm.
It's tough, and
Talk about that. What are you hearing?
well, I could have told you about 4 months ago that affordability was a problem
Mhm.
because it was the first thing that people generally brought up. And sometimes they bring it up in terms of like local taxes, and sometimes they bring it up in terms of the price of groceries or things like that, which of course the state has lesser of an impact on. But many times they talk about it in conjunction with education. K-12 schools, childcare costs, the cost of tuition to UW schools or technical colleges. And so people are just kind of feeling it from every angle. And it's, very personal to each and every one of them. And I think we've got to get serious about being responsive. I hear it. I feel you. My property tax bill just went up 10%.
Yeah.
And, for someone on a fixed income in particular, like that's debilitating. It might be a make or break. So we've got to do better.
Well, you know what? It's funny. You and I were talking beforehand about just some of the things I've heard from people here.
Yeah.
Particularly as we were working with folks at the bank, right? So when Columbia Savings and Loan works so much with a number of African American families, a lot of seniors who have been with the bank for some time, got their loan through the bank, their mortgage that way, and and now are experiencing because of some of the referenda that have been held for Milwaukee Public Schools.
Right.
They're seeing their property tax bill in some cases double.
Right.
So for someone who's on a fixed income and really struggling to make other ends meet when food prices have gone up, when other just basic needs have gone up, to have that property tax go up so abruptly as well.
So what's so interesting about going across the state is how different portions of the state are, and yet how similar at the same time. The circumstances might differ a little bit from place to place, but as someone told me on the trail up in Adams County, which is central Wisconsin, I don't care who you are, Josh. Fixed income is fixed income, and poor is poor. Like, it might be a different set of circumstances in Milwaukee than here, or up in Bayfield County than here. But in the end, when you're getting pinched, you're getting pinched. And so, I feel it, I hear it, and I feel for people. And like I said, we got to do better. The status quo, the establishment, it's just not working, and we need change. And I'm excited to bring it in January of 2027, and looking forward to have a partner by my side that can help me make it happen.
Okay. All right. That's good to hear. That's very good to hear. No one in specific.
No one in particular.
No one in particular. That's an unfortunate thing, Josh. That's an unfortunate thing. Might come to you later.
I'll think about
it. Wait, Debo, are you in the corner here? So
yeah.
Okay. Well,
Martin. Yeah. So what you're saying? I hear you.
Okay, Debo. I appreciate the assist there. So for folks that maybe have not heard you before, let's just back up a little bit and talk about, like, I've gotten to know you since since 2021, December of 2021 to be specific. But
I bet you even know the day.
Actually, I do.
I bet you do.
But for people who don't know you, just give us a little background of who you are, how you come to be where you are today.
Yeah, I think we met in December of 21, and then was it the next Juneteenth that you came to Washington County?
So I came as a guest in 22.
It was 22. Okay.
So what we're talking about is that Washington County actually has a celebration of Juneteenth, and that it actually predates it becoming a federal holiday.
That's right.
Right. That you began that. We can talk a little bit about why you did it.
Yeah.
But the first time I came up for Juneteenth, which is my birthday.
I didn't know. Right? That's why we. That's why we.
That's how it became a federal holiday.
That's how it became a federal holiday.
In my mind, that's how it became a federal holiday. So I came up to visit the first time for Juneteenth. The next year, then you guys got smart and
we had you speak
there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm the Washington County executive, right? And I'm from West Bend, which is about a half hour, 45 minutes from here. My wife and I own an 8-acre farm in between West Bend and Grafton. Born in Washington County, raised my family in Washington County. I've been in public service my whole life. I was in Iraq in 2003.
Well, you military service.
Military service. Yep. I was in the Army Guard. We were deployed right at the beginning of the war. And of course, that changed my life in a multitude of ways, and decided I wanted to get it into public service where I could earn back the service and sacrifice of the guys and gals that didn't make it home, either in whole or in part. And I wanted to find a profession where I could reflect the Lord's love for me by loving my neighbor as myself. Public service to me was that and it's been a wonderful career. I've really enjoyed it,
Mhm.
and I've always been, because of that lens that I got into this business looking through. I've always been very, very focused on people, and wanting to make sure that government is there to serve them, and it's not the other way around,
Mhm.
which frankly is what I feel like things are at now, whether it's the MPS referendum or whether it's how things are functioning in state government or many local governments. It often seems self-serving,
Mhm.
rather than serving the people. And
Mhm.
so that's a big part of the reason I wanted to jump into this race for governor, is because I see what's happening in Madison as antithetical to what the people need and what they're saying to me they would like to see. And I think we got to get it back oriented toward what's best for them.
Yeah. Oh, we talked a little bit more about your military service before, and I
Yeah.
think if I remember correctly, you were still a teen when you joined?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I joined before 9/11.
Yeah.
So I joined in the fall of 2000, and I was 19
Oh, see,
when
I
I
I
joined.
think I got
Yep.
this down, man.
And then I got married a little bit when I got back from basic and so forth. But yeah, we got deployed. I was 21. I might have just been short of 22, and yeah, so I saw war in my early 20s, and like I said, it changes you. My whole life has been oriented around service, and maybe more specifically, like love your neighbor.
Mm.
And it just got it. I've got more in tune with it the more and longer my public service has gone, and it's what drives me to this day.
You tell a story about being overseas in Iraq
Yeah,
and just seeing some of the kids there.
yeah,
And you talk about, kids drinking out of puddles
yeah,
outdoors.
yeah. I
And
don't tell that story often, but enough that, I mean, it was so impactful to me, and I hope it means something to other people. But I was in Baghdad for just a few weeks. Our unit was there for about 2 or 3 months, and I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but there was oftentimes kids roaming around, and we'd give them candy or meals ready to eat, water, things like this. And so I grab a couple of meals ready to eat, MREs we call them, and I hand them to them, and they're futzing with them, and I'm kind of just watching over my shoulder, paying attention to them, and all of a sudden this kid gets up, and he's probably 10 years old. It had rained in Baghdad the night before, believe it or not, and so there's this puddle in between us, and he walks over to the puddle, and I'm thinking 10-year-old kid, what's he gonna do? Jump in the puddle, play around, whatever. And all of a sudden he kneels down, cups his hands, and starts drinking out of the puddle. And I was like taken aback. And around the corner from me is a pallet of water bottles, not these baby bottles that you got, but
Mhm.
like these big liter and a half or whatever. And so I grab a couple of them, give them to the kids, and really didn't think much about it, just did it. Well, then we left Baghdad and eventually left the war zone, and the moment kind of kept coming back to me over and over. And prior to that, I had been on a track to be a social studies teacher, but I really wanted to just coach wrestling. Coaching was my passion, and so as that moment kept coming back to me, I was like, I can't lie to myself. I gotta do something more with my life and earn that service and sacrifice back. And I want to make sure that situation that I saw never happens here at home. And now I look around, and nobody's drinking out of puddles, but lead water lines everywhere, and
Mhm.
PFAS in water, and
Mhm.
third graders reading with 8% proficiency at grade level. Like we can do so much better.
Mhm.
We and our kids deserve so much better, and the future of our state depends on us doing better, which is our kids. And I just feel like I can make a difference, and I want to do that. And it's not about being governor; it's about what we want to do, and that
Mhm.
is, I think, I really firmly believe, turning the state around and making it about the people. The best Republican governors in the last 100 years have all had a similar profile to me, and they've all been about pushing government back closer to the people
Mhm.
in some way, shape, or form. That's exactly what I want to do, and um, that's exactly what we're going to do in January of 2027.
Okay, man. All right, that sounds great. So, you've been through all 72.
Yeah,
You're making the second round,
yeah,
right? Right
almost
now.
halfway through.
Okay.
Almost halfway through the second round. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And so, what else are you experiencing? I mean, what surprised you most about traveling the state?
State's big. It is real big.
66,000 square miles.
Right. And what is it from here to Superior? Like 8 hours, 8.5 hours, something like
Trust
that.
me,
I mean, it's big.
yeah.
Like people don't think about that, but 8.5 hours south. I mean, you're talking what, Louisville, Kentucky,
Correct.
right?
That's what man, we used to talk about this years ago, that if you took the same distance from Kenosha up to like Cornucopia,
Yeah.
the topmost point in the state, is equivalent to getting to down to Kentucky.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. So that is one. I mean, just kind of like wakes you up. Like, this is a big state and a statewide race is serious. But the other thing that really has been impressed upon me by the people is their concern about education.
Mm-hmm.
I had a feeling that, as a conservative, low taxes and, government stinks, let's make it better, that would be a theme.
Yeah.
And it has been. Affordability is top issue, no doubt about it. But education and where it meets affordability is really been eye-opening. And everything from childcare to K-12 all the way to university, and how broken those systems are, and how really our leaders in Madison have known for decades, and in some cases a half a century or more, and really just haven't done anything about it.
Mhm.
They're too busy, the political food fight, pointing fingers at each other. Even now, those property tax bills that just saw such huge increases, aside from the referendums, which are a symptom of that larger problem. But you see Governor Evers execute that 400-year veto, which then sets the stage for $350 increases on the average
So
home.
wait, let's back up so that people know what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So the legislature passed the budget.
Yes.
Right.
Last year, or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Okay. And as part of that, the Wisconsin governor, people think about veto and they thought, oh, you say yes or no to a bill, right? Well, in Wisconsin, you can say yes or no to actual individual letters of words.
Yes.
Right. The
Yes.
governor in Wisconsin has the strongest veto in the nation.
In America. Yeah. Absolutely.
And so he was literally able to go carve out of the bill to create a new sentence.
So it said the literal language that was written by the legislature, and that was a deal that was cut between the legislature and the governor, said that the school formula would be from 2024-2025, 2024 to 2025.
Mm-hmm.
He vetoed 20, the dash 20, to make it 24-25. He single-handedly created a 403-year tax increase, right? So horrible. I mean, that creates a perpetual, on average, $325 property tax increase to every property owner in Wisconsin.
Yeah, Jermaine, are you going to hang around for the next 400 years? You hanging around for that long?
No, sir.
So I hope you tell your children who are either graduated or about to graduate from college that you might have a tax bill, my man.
Yeah.
Because
and your grandkids
and their kids and their kids.
400 years.
Wow.
Right, 400 years.
Well, and so here's what makes it really frustrating to me. This is a Madison issue, because then the new budget comes.
Yeah.
And the legislature and the governor have the ability to kind of negotiate down that number. And instead, they lock that number in on the property tax side by not giving any additional state aid, on top of things like the MPS referendum.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're seeing exponential increases in property taxes, so that each one of them can point at the other one and say, it's his fault. No, it's their fault. No, it's his fault. No, it's their fault.
And meantime, the taxpayers having to pay the bill.
That's right.
No matter whose fault it is.
I just talked to a woman yesterday who lives in the city of Milwaukee, who saw a relatively small increase, about $500, I think $400 maybe even, but she's on a fixed income.
Yeah.
And she literally said, Josh, I save for my tax bill every year. I don't have the extra $400.
Mm-hmm.
I had to dip into my checking account to be able to make up the difference and pay it in installments. And I don't know what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that story is playing out all across the city. And I can tell you it's playing all across the state. Me personally, I saw a 10% increase in my property tax bill. So what I don't like is politicians, again, have made this about them and not about the people.
Right.
I'm focused. I feel your pain. I'm focused on how do we fix it, because we need to serve you.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to come right back after this break and continue this conversation with
do it.
Josh Schoemann. All right. The difference, and as usual, the best time is during the break.
Merry Christmas.
There we go. We have the most fun during the break, right? So we are talking today with Josh Schoemann. He has been here a number of times, and we're just talking about what he's experienced on the road, and then we're going to get into some of the proposals he has and how that would impact our state and community as well. But you were saying, before we were talking about property taxes. So we kind of ended it on the note of, people going at each other. And I think this is just it's what's wrong with politics, whether it is local or it's state or it's federal these days, is the cop out is, I don't have to be responsible enough to have a solution. All I have to do is, it's the other guy's worse, right? It's the other guy's fault. It's not my job to figure out an answer, even though I asked for the job to be responsible.
They're more interested in being famous on social media and getting on radio and TV, and instead of actually solving problems. And I got into this business, that story in Iraq, because I want to solve problems. I want to make life better for people. During the break, I heard an ad about Republicans only care about taxes for the rich and the millionaires and the billionaires. That's why my proposals are so focused on people individually, because that to me is garbage. I believe one of my proposals is we cut property taxes in half. You tell me how that benefits billionaires.
Yeah.
I think what we need to do is take the cities and the counties, so the municipalities and the counties, and work to get them off of the property tax bill. If we're able to be successful with your local elected officials and get property taxes cut in half, isn't that a win for everybody?
Right.
I mean, I believe that's the problem in part with our party, is we've lost the plot, but politicians at large have lost the plot. They've made it about them. They've made it about the institution. They've made it about the bureaucrats. And instead it's always been about the people. That's what I want to get back focused on. And I think proposals like cutting property taxes in half
let's talk
really
about
start the discussion.
Let's talk about cutting it in half.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
Yeah. Well, we took a really interesting positive step forward in that same budget that Tony Evers did the veto. We instituted the largest reform for shared revenue in a generation, my whole life, right? We shared revenue, which is a revenue that comes from the state of Wisconsin to help keep property taxes lower. The state increased the amount and they tied it to the state sales tax. It was a great step, but it was a step, one step. We need a giant leap. Let's take that and go much bigger and bolder. I think we can do that. I think that would be a huge win for the city of Milwaukee, for Milwaukee County, for the city of West Bend, for the city of Mazomanie. And more importantly than that, it's a huge win for the individual taxpayers everywhere in Wisconsin. I don't think it's really that complicated, but it is going to require the state of Wisconsin to tighten its belt, to get a little bit smaller and more efficient.
Well, that's where I wanted to go, is that, we can't continue to spend as we're spending and shift, right? So I think part of this is, no matter what you do, you're not actually, even if you shift how the taxes are paid, you're still taking out this amount of money out of people's pockets, they're no better off, right? So how do we begin to actually start to slim this down?
That's right. So I think here's one idea, and I have a whole laundry list. My team calls me an ideas machine, but one idea, and it spins off something we've talked about at length, is...
Okay, wait, am I going to have to worry about you're taking my stuff?
No, I hope not.
Okay.
I think they complement each other.
Okay, all right.
So I think the city of Madison is a cocoon. It's a bubble in and of itself, right? Okay. Even folks from Madison refer to it that way. But it's really, really expensive. What if we took some of the state agencies and pulled them out of Madison and put them on other places? One, it's a lot less expensive. Two, it's much closer to the people where there's some common sense. I think you take, for example, the Department of Workforce Development, hundreds of employees. Currently, the cost of their operation in the city of Madison is 25 times what it would be in, say, Racine. Significantly less expensive. The unemployment rate in Racine is significantly higher than it is in Dane County, almost always because of the state agencies and the university. So you get closer to the people. a little more common sense, much cheaper. Does it cost money initially? Yeah. But more importantly than that, you save money long term
Yeah.
and you begin to change the culture. You make it more about the people of the state and less about the government employee or the bureaucracy or the politician or the institution. And you cut taxes and save money in the long haul, which ultimately benefits taxpayers
Okay.
and people.
So I just, for people to think about, every capital city of virtually every state.
Yep.
I've not studied them all, but I think it is the trend that
Or
happens
Washington,
is-
D.C.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. What happens in the capital cities typically is you have the university system. So there are great jobs, and university continues to operate whether there's a recession or there's a economic boom. You've always got those jobs going.
Absolutely.
So there's never a wave, right? There's never an economic downturn.
That's right.
Does not affect the university per se. State government, if you've got all these agencies, and today we've got 70 agencies,
Yep.
departments, commissions, and boards. 70
And tens of thousands of employees.
Yeah, 68,000 I think is the last I've seen, which
I was
is the
going to say
equivalent.
70, but
But there we go.
Yep.
But it's the equivalent of the 5th largest city in the state of Wisconsin.
that's right.
So that ends up insulating Madison from a lot of these economic issues, right?
You got it.
And so every other city has to go through this economic downturn or boom as business comes in or as business leaves.
Yes.
So part of what you're talking about is taking what's insulating Madison and actually moving it so that other parts of the state can experience some of that economic benefit as well.
That's absolutely right. I mean, you think about just say it's 500 jobs for DWD into Racine. If we had an economic development project that brought 500 jobs, it would be front page news, right? So that in and of itself is a huge boon. Plus, 25 times the cost in Madison compared to Racine, that savings alone is a huge win.
Yeah.
And again, now you've got these state employees closer to the people they actually serve and much more familiar with how things are in a place like Racine compared to the bubble that is Madison.
Yeah.
It's not an
property
end all
values.
be all.
Yeah.
It's not there is no silver bullet. That's the point. But little things like this begin to change culture, begin to change the way people think, and reorient government back to being focused on people.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate goal.
So I know that in my experience, we had one of the state buildings when I was working for Governor Walker. We had a building that was $26 million. The valuation on the building,
Yeah.
$26 million.
Right.
And actually had someone from the private sector show up as the administrations were changing.
Okay.
Right. As Evers was coming in, $26 million valuation on the building. The private sector wanted to buy it. 8 floors, over 200 parking spaces below, virtually empty. State government would not sell the building.
Of course.
Would not sell the building.
Which is probably now worth probably double that, I would bet.
Yeah, and again, it's only like a block or so off of the Capitol Square. So some of the absolute most valuable land.
So here's something people don't think about, and you and I've talked about this, but let's say it's worth $50 million today. If it's a government building paying no taxes, if we put that back on the property tax roll, the effect is immediate. And it's not like a business where you're measuring return on investment and you got to get it back in 7 years. This is forever. Right. And in a place like Madison, where they have a housing crisis, maybe some of this can actually help solve that housing crisis.
There's marble in that building, so I'm quite sure that they'll have a very bougie place to be able to live.
There you
and
go.
all that underground parking there.
That's exactly.
Make life very simple.
And Madison Metropolitan School District also had a significant referendum, and now you add to the tax base, and that helps bring taxes down. This is the kind of thinking that I think needs to happen. And as in the Evers administration, it's just how do we get more money and spend more? And frankly, for 50 years, you got to go back to Tommy to have ideas that were really like just getting government to think and operate differently and really become about the people again.
Yeah. So you would move this, and this would mean more job opportunities for people outside of Madison.
It absolutely could.
Right.
It also could mean employees that are currently in Madison could move out.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that we need to do any kind of incentivizing. I think there's enough unemployment in places like Racine or Milwaukee or elsewhere in the state that could backfill some of those jobs.
Yeah.
But it's not about eliminating jobs or cutting bureaucrats, so to speak. It's really about changing culture and getting closer to the people. And I'm sure there's going to be some bureaucrats from Madison that say, I'm not moving, this is my home. Fine. Okay, great.
Well, the only thing I would push on is if you're going to reorganize where the government agencies are, that perhaps it's also time to reorganize how many government agencies there
Amen
are,
to that.
right? Because
Amen to that.
if you're gonna make the move,
Yeah.
we
Well,
should
not
be much
only
more
that,
efficient
like
about it too.
what makes sense for work from home?
Yeah.
Maybe in whole we need less buildings.
Mhm.
Do we really need this many jobs? I think it starts the conversation for
Yeah.
all of those things. But you got to be willing to start the conversation,
Right.
and we haven't seen anybody willing to do that for
You know,
some time.
This was not something necessarily we're going to talk about, but it's in my head right now. So let's talk about it. Right, accountability as
Yeah.
well. I think that the whole idea of if you're asking the people of Wisconsin to sacrifice, and let me take it back. You're not asking. People aren't asking whether or not we would sacrifice. They're just basically taking the money, right?
Mhm.
They're just taking it. So all this money is coming out of folks' checks. You're having to figure out, even for seniors, how do I pay these property taxes, et cetera. So people are struggling to meet the demand of government. I don't see the accountability on the government side to make sure that they're using the money as wisely as possible and that there's an outcome for the dollars they took. When we keep raising the amount of property tax that goes for education and our kids are actually reading at a lower level, something's wrong when the only way we're addressing the problem is just raising more taxes as if more is somehow going to fix the problem when the last bit and the last bit and the last bit.
If money fixed education,
We'd all be
MPS
scholars.
would be the best school district in the country.
Mhm.
And I don't think there's anybody, including school board members and the superintendent at MPS, that even tries to claim such a thing. Money is not the issue. It's a cultural issue.
Mhm.
And I give credit to the new superintendent for trying to change culture. I mean, she absolutely is, and it's a giant mountain. But that type of conversation has to happen across the state.
But I would love to see us be able to say, for instance, we've got 5 agencies that do economic development,
Yes.
right? 5,
Exactly.
right? And,
Yep.
and I've been preaching on this for a long time.
Yep.
5 agencies, and yet you look around, Milwaukee is the largest city in the state, and for all people's grousing, it is an economic engine for the state.
Yep.
Why we don't see more development, including on the north side where this station is headquartered, why we don't see more development when we got 5 agencies that do economic development, when we've got 3 agencies that do job training, and yet we've got so many people here who have talent but have not had the hard skills training to make that talent useful. It's maddening to me that we've got so many agencies and so much money going, and yet we don't see the people showing up in the places, whether it's Milwaukee or Superior.
And I'm sure
you know?
you've seen this in your tenure, in the time you served in government too. But those 5 agencies, in large part, remain in existence because they are busy protecting their own little agency,
Mhm.
their little kingdom, and there is no give and take. They don't want to cooperate or certainly consolidate because they lose something, right? In 20 years in government service, I've seen the biggest hurdle to any kind of significant reform that benefits the people and the taxpayer is power and control.
Mhm.
Who gets the power and control? And to me, it's antithetical because I got into this business for a whole different motivation, and it's people. But I think a lot of folks who've maybe got in with originally good intentions have just turned into a part of the machine,
Yeah.
and has become about power control, and nobody wins. My grandpa used to say, play dumb games and win dumb prizes. And I think our tax bills have shown us these are some
Mhm.
pretty dumb prizes we're
Yeah.
getting.
Well, I think that's the opportunity as well, is to start reprioritizing. I would love to see a conversation with the people of Wisconsin, including Milwaukee, to be able to think about
Yeah.
what's your hope for the future?
Yes.
What's your priority for the future? What would you, if you had a dollar or $1 million or $1 billion these days, how would you spend it?
Yes.
What do you want to see happen? What's the result of the money? every conversation we have is driven by the money,
Yeah.
and then maybe an indirect outcome. I'd much rather see us have a conversation around the state about what would excite you about the future. What would make this the opportunity state for you, for your family?
This is why I love talking to you, and we have a longer time with an hour to talk, because now you're getting deep, right? Like, this is, I believe, the fundamental problem with government at all levels. Everything's a priority, and we are trying to be everything to everybody.
Right.
And when everything's a priority, that means nothing's a priority.
Right.
And when you're trying to be everything to everybody, you end up stinking at everything.
Mhm.
You have to get focused on what's most important, and that's exactly how we start the conversation. I've been now in the city of Milwaukee over 20 times in the last 7 months. I've been in Dane County 27 times,
Mhm.
and most of those times is not in the city itself. It's in the outer ring suburbs, talking to people who are willing to have a conversation about what are your hopes and dreams, what are your priorities, because I think that's what we need to get back reoriented to and acknowledge. I mean, everybody in their households knows, yeah, I'd love to have the 65-inch flat screen TV, but I have a utility bill I got to pay, right?
Right.
Like, they have priority-based decisions they've got to make at home. We should be doing the same thing in government. It's exactly what we've done in Washington County, and the result is our tax rate today is half of what it was when I started. It was
Mhm.
$2.88 when I started. Today it's $1.40.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you actually make change and then deliver bigger results on the things that are the biggest priorities for people. And that's who we need to be talking
I
to.
think
That's why I'm here.
I think part of it is growth, right? We have to have growth in this
Yeah.
state. We're not growing. Our population's not growing, and yet we're continuing to tax people more.
Yeah.
To keep, adding more things for this essentially the same population. And the other part of this is that accountability piece of prioritizing do we really need to. I think about the have tos
Yes.
versus the can dos, right? And the have tos have to be things like, and we hear this all the time, people who are really concerned about public safety.
Yes.
Families where they feel like, hey, my grandmother can't freely come in and out of her home because she's worried about the neighborhoods that she's in, right? Or I'm worried about the kids who are in the neighborhood and their safety, etc. Prioritizing that public safety to make sure everybody in the state feels safe.
Yep.
And then also making sure that everybody's got opportunity, that the economy's growing in Wisconsin so that everybody's got a shot at being able to get a family supporting job here.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think in Washington County, our priorities are clear. Public safety is at the top of the list. Mental health and social services is right with it. Effective roads, we call it transportation, and sustainability, and then economic growth. And at the state level, I think you add education, because that's what I've heard from people across Wisconsin. I think all those things are true, but I want people to think about something. I'm an advocate of lowering the tax burden for everybody. Cut property tax bills in half. That's a huge win for all of Wisconsin. Doesn't matter if you're lower class, middle class, upper class.
Yeah.
But I hear a lot of talk about tax the millionaires and the billionaires, and people on the other side are making proposals like that. I will tell you right now, here's what they do, because I've talked to folks who've done this. If you're going to raise taxes on the millionaires, they just leave.
Right.
They go to Tennessee.
Right.
There's no income tax.
Right.
And they've literally told me, Josh, if I move to Tennessee, I live there 6 months and 1 day, and I work here the rest, and I can work remotely now in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
In that amount, I move in 1 year, what I save in income tax, I paid for my house.
Right.
You want to drive people out of the state? Make stupid proposals like that effective.
Yeah.
Again, play dumb games, win dumb prizes. I'm interested in benefiting all Wisconsinites. That's what we're going to do when I'm governor in January of 27.
Awesome. And I see that what you were getting so good that you even time it at the time of breaks. And I'm a little concerned from my job because
teamwork to make the dream work.
Yeah, well, okay,
Teamwork
man.
Make the dream work.
Well, wait, I think the team is you and Jermaine though. You're like,
we locked
wait,
in.
We ain't saying, we just saying.
You didn't even need me to say that there's a break coming because the two of you had already figured it out, right? So
he does that same thing my wife does, like slowly.
There we go. There we go. Okay, you're gonna cultivate to how it works. You know the rules. So, all right. Right after this, we'll come back and talk to Josh Schoemann a bit more on the difference. Right, WNOV family, we are in the last segment of a show with Josh Schoemann, who is running for governor on the conservative side. He's a Republican and not afraid to come into the city and talk to some folks. So,
It's the only way to win.
There you
Can't-
go.
Yeah, can't win votes if you don't talk to people.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Republicans have figured that out a lot in the last 10 years. Oh, wait, maybe I haven't figured it out yet.
Wait, he got Jermaine's attention.
Yeah, I got-
over there,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay. So look, I want to make sure before I think whether you are a Democrat or Republican independent, people have been really stirred up about elections.
Yeah.
And how elections are held and what the rules are for elections, et cetera. And we've been having issues where every time the election comes near, we're always fighting about what the rules are.
Yep.
And you've come up with a proposal about making sure to secure the elections. And so I wanted to make sure to talk to you about that, because I think this is something that really affects all of us.
It does. And something near and dear. I've been in this business for 20 years and I started off as a deputy clerk running elections. I've done everything from testing the voting machine all the way to working with municipal clerks to audit the results, hand counting ballots, comparing it to what's in the machine, not just a recount where you count a ballot number, but actually the votes themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this is something that's super, super important. I hear it across the state as I talk to people. I think we really need to strive for secure and verifiable elections. And what I mean by that is a high degree of fidelity and integrity, that everybody knows the system, everybody trusts the system, and you have verifiable voters. So there's a few key things I think we need to do. One, I think we need to abolish the Wisconsin Election Commission.
Okay, let's talk about what is that.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
Okay.
So the Wisconsin Election Commission was created in the last handful of years. My opponent in the primary voted to create it. I'm proposing to abolish it. It is a commission of 6 people. Yes, an even number, and 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats. And anytime there's anything even remotely controversial, it typically ends, as you would imagine, in a 3-3 tie.
So and therefore nothing happens.
And then the decision is deferred to the staff who work in Madison, in the Madison bubble. And it's very ineffectual. And I feel bad for that staff because they have no direction. They're accountable. So this group is accountable to nobody.
Yeah.
They can't be hired and fired. The legislature tried to fire Megan Wolf, who's the administrator, was told they can't do that. And so it's a disaster. This is a perfect example of accountability that needs to come back to the people.
Yeah.
I believe it should be an elected office.
Okay.
Whether that's lieutenant governor or secretary of state or treasurer, it does not matter to me so much. I'm negotiable there, but it's got to come back to the people. And if I believe that is a critical piece of how we start the process of making elections more secure and more verifiable.
So, okay, I also want to ask you about, you mentioned about moving the statewide elections that happen in the spring.
Yes.
Moving them to the November election.
Yes.
What's your thought?
Governor can't do it by himself. This is a legislative action. Actually, governor can't do it at all. Doesn't even get to sign the legislation. It's got to go to a constitutional amendment. Let the people decide.
Okay.
And that would be the legislature changing the Constitution to allow for it to move to November. And why do that? One, it's got to be about the people. Way more people vote in November than vote in April.
I want to give the statistics there. So in 2022, 2.6 million people in the state of Wisconsin voted for governor, right? In 22.
Yep.
In 5 months later, in 2023, when we had a Supreme Court race, only 1.8 million people voted. That's actually 800,000 fewer Wisconsinites voting in November versus the next April immediately after that. So yeah, huge
Great
difference.
example. Thank you for the data behind that.
I'm trying to make sure to give the stats.
You good radio host.
I'm trying my best.
Make a fantastic lieutenant governor.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
So that's exactly. I mean, 800,000 people is a lot, right? That's over 10% of the entire population of the state.
Mhm.
I think that's a huge reason why we need to do it. But the secondary reason why I think we need to do it is it also these races have clearly become partisan. it's almost inarguable at this
Mhm.
point. We know who the Republican candidate is. We know which one the Democratic candidate is, whether it's the Department of Public Instruction superintendent or whether it's a Supreme Court justice. Everybody's lining up into their corners, red and blue, and they pretend like they're not.
Mhm.
The reality is they are. Let's just be honest about it
Right.
and put it where the most amount of people, most amount of Wisconsinites are going to be voting for it.
Okay. You also mentioned about having uniform voter rules.
Yes. So uniform voting rules. So here in the city of Milwaukee, 2 weeks prior to any election date, there's a ton of convenience for opportunity to go in and vote in person absentee. I think that's fantastic. I think every community in all of Wisconsin should have that same opportunity. In Washington County, we've put our money where our mouth is. We actually incentivize municipalities to expand those hours to give more opportunity. I think this is a huge opportunity for all of Wisconsin.
Mhm.
And I think the state of Wisconsin should also put its money where its mouth is, give municipalities more money so that their clerks can have additional hours, including the city of Milwaukee.
Yeah, nothing like having democracy, so everybody
Yes.
has fair and equitable access to the ballot. Right?
Equitable. Yes.
There we go.
Equitable amount of time.
Okay.
Amen.
You mentioned about cleaning the voter rolls too, and I know that Jermaine's going to jump up in a minute and tell me it's over. So I'm going to quickly say there's 3.6 million people on the active voter list in Wisconsin.
Yes.
3.6 million on the active voter.
Yes.
Some other estimates show up to 5.2 million people on the total voter roll.
Yes.
Some people who are inactive, some people who are dead, so they're definitely inactive.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about what you would do there.
Purging the voter rolls is critical. Doing it with frequency, integrity, and fidelity. I'm the only clerk who ever in 2012, the year of the recall, actually forced to have the voter roll list purged in Richfield while the government accountability held that power and control, which should go, the state law says every clerk is supposed to do it. That same thing should happen more often. It shouldn't be once every 4 years because that creates conflict with the rest of the state law where people are moving, coming and going, passing away, unfortunately.
Mhm.
There are some clerks that do it really well, where they're monitoring things like obituaries and moves and making changes. There's others who do it once every 4 years. We need to have more integrity and fidelity in the system, make it happen much more frequently, so people have confidence the person who said they're voting is who they say they are, and they live where they say they live.
Yeah. So I know that so many people have issues about the election, and then the conspiracies happen about
Yeah.
who did what and who didn't do what and who took over what, and So I agree with you that we definitely need to find a way to make sure that people have confidence in the election. If people want to know more about you, because I see this man pushing all kind of buttons over here, so it is like turn out the lights, the party is over. So before we go, how can people find out more information about you, Josh?
Easiest thing to do is go to my website, joshschoemann.com. And I think it's been up on the screen a few times, joshschoemann.com.
That's too many letters, man.
That's
too many letters going
I know.
on.
I should just made it Schoemann, SHOW or
That's right.
something like that.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so Josh, you're still out on the road. Got a Christmas wish for folks?
Yes, thank you all so much for having me. It's good to be back here. I appreciate the opportunity to come talk to y'all, and wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll see you in 2026.
Yes, sir.
Enjoy your time with your family.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Amen.
Now, did we do all right? Did we stay within the time?
Stay
We
within the
stay
time.
colored within the lines?
Yeah. So we got to jump out now, though.
Okay, well, you see, that's where we
Merry
go.
Christmas.
So, all right, to everybody who's listening, peace out. Merry Christmas.